Okay, so this is my first video, so I don't know how to start it, but since it is the first day of spring, I thought it would be the perfect time to kind of create my first video regarding fitness. I started my fitness journey, I want to say about like 5 years ago. And as far as fitness journey, I mean like weight training. I think I've always been like an active person, but I want to say right before or like around COVID is when I really started to get into weight training, and my perspective on like fitness changed a little bit. You know, we kind of grew up in like the skinny era where like I was very big on like cardio, just wanted to stay thin. Weight training wasn't really on my mind. It slowly started to shift with my idea of what I believe a healthy lifestyle is. Kind of changed in the sense where it was more fitness related goals and not like body obsessive goals, if that makes sense. So I think it kind of started to shift when I went on Instagram and I kind of started following more of like the fitness influencers. And I do remember like the first one that I came across was Daisy. It was Daisy BeFit. And I think I was inspired by her because I kind of felt that our physique was very alike. You kind of grew up with this crazy beauty standard where you think your waist should be extremely tiny, and genetically, like, it didn't matter how much weight I lost, I just didn't look like these little tiny petite girls because I'm not a petite girl. So I think that was the first time that I kind of realized like, hey, she looks good and she kind of looks like me. I was going to shift my idea of what healthy really looked like, where I was like, wow, like I really think I want to work toward like lifting heavy. And that's where that's where my goals with weight training kind of started. It all started with like home workouts. I think I had bought her like home workouts at first, so I was doing at home workouts, and then it gradually moved toward like shy girl workouts at the gym. I remember I started at Planet Fitness and I would grab like a little weight and I would like go in the corner and just try things out on my own. So for today's video, I'm just gonna speak on what kind of worked for me, how to begin, and also I think right now is the perfect time to begin because I believe 3 months is a perfect amount of time to kind of see a healthy change in your body that's also sustainable and just in time for the summer. So I'm gonna go over a few tips and advice and kind of speak on my opinion and what worked for me. Again, this is not professional advice. This is more so the trial and errors that worked for me. And I mean, 5 years in, it's still something that I've enjoyed, and I think it's still a learning process, and I think it's always going to be a learning process because again, I think fitness is a lifestyle, health is a lifestyle. I don't think it's like a temporary thing where like it's kind of always changing. So I think the first thing I am going to speak on is exercise in general. I think it's difficult to be a beginner in anything. I think you feel a lot of pressure, and also you feel very vulnerable to judgment. Working out can be very intimidating, and to this day I totally get it because there's times where I still get like a little bit of a gym anxiety, which is fine. But I think it's important to remember that you don't have to start where everyone is currently at your gym. I think you can pick a few workouts that work for you, that you're comfortable with, stick to that, and gradually work toward doing a little more. And that's how I started. So my gym journey started with just cardio, just going for the treadmill, and then I would do my little home workouts. So from there, once I felt more comfortable at the gym, because I had been doing cardio for like a good amount, not a good amount of time, but quite some time, where I got comfortable in the gym, I started doing my shy girl workouts. I think right now is like the perfect time for you to start workouts. One, it's starting to get nice out, so going on walks is part of cardio. You might feel a little bit more motivated because it's sunny out, it's nice out. But also I think we have the privilege and the benefit of having social media and TikTok. I feel like every time I open the app, there's something new as far as like fitness. I literally got myself a little tiny treadmill because I live in an apartment. I live all the way upstairs. So carrying a huge treadmill up the stairs was just not part of the plan. So I got a tiny treadmill. You can literally get weights at like Ross. So you can literally start at home. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a gym. If you eventually want to move toward a gym journey, I would recommend kind of doing the same workouts and just picking a little tiny corner at the gym and doing that. When going to the gym, I think what definitely helps is coming in with a plan. So having a workout split, I think, is almost necessary, because if you show up to the gym with absolutely nothing planned and as a beginner, you're probably gonna roam around, feel discouraged, and go home. So honestly, sometimes I would literally save workouts on Pinterest. Pinterest is another great tool that you can use. As far as building a workout routine, it's so important to choose days and times that you know are going to work for you. If you are not a morning person, choosing a 5 a.m. workout routine is probably not going to last. And I'm telling you that by experience. I love the gym. I'm a huge gym girl. I love being fit. I love being active. But one thing I will not do is go to the gym at 5 a.m., 4 a.m. because I know I will not continue doing it. And if you do something you hate, you're not going to stick to it. I am a morning person in the sense where I'll wake up like at 6 a.m. But anything earlier than that to force myself to go to the gym, I will not find enjoyable. And if I'm not finding the experience enjoyable, I'm not going to find the gym enjoyable, and I'm going to get discouraged again, and I'm not going to stick to that routine. So that's another huge thing, is choosing the time that works best for you. Evenings kind of suck as far as gym traffic, but I know that time works best for me because it's after work. I can get ready. I don't have to rush there, and there's like little inconveniences, but I can push through it and they're more tolerable in comparison to me waking up at 4 a.m. and just like hating my life. This also comes into play with days that you choose. So for me, like in the summer, I'm super busy with makeup because I do makeup. So on the weekends, I don't really think it's even possible because I wake up at 4 a.m. By the time I'm done with makeup, I am drained. I have absolutely no energy. So going to the gym, even if I want to, is almost impossible. I choose Monday through Friday as my workout days because I know that the weekends I'm probably not gonna have the energy to do it. So choosing days that work around your schedule is so important as well. And to this day, I think creating a weekly workout split is so important. Having a calendar where you can keep track of everything definitely helps. I do have a calendar, and every week at the beginning of my week, I look through the days that I'm gonna have like an event or something that might get in the way of me working out, and I plan according to that. So if, let's say on a Thursday, I really have to go somewhere after work and I know I'm not gonna have the time to work out, I'll typically make that my rest day. And then I also have active rest days where I'll just do cardio. So let's say you do have a little treadmill at home, I'll just do cardio, or you can go for a walk. Active rest days could be anything as far as rollerblading, walking, jogging, something light, but still like you're adding movement to your day. So yes, having a workout split and having a workout plan definitely helps, and it'll help you build a routine. A routine is super important as well because motivation isn't always going to be there. Okay, another thing that is so important, like so important, I would say diet makes up 80% and 30% of it is working out. And although working out kind of is hard and can suck sometimes, I think it can be the easier part once you have a routine. But again, that can go into nutrition and your diet as well. But again, diet is just difficult, and I think diet is difficult in the sense where I think a lot of people, when it comes to dieting or nutrition, they think like salads healthy, and to me that's not sustainable. You're not going to get full off of just a salad, and you'll probably end up eating whatever you're craving anyway. So it's very hard, I think, in the beginning to kind of find recipes that are considered healthy or are healthy, and that will fit in your new lifestyle, that you'll enjoy. I think a lot of it is unlearning and relearning, because another thing is when we hear diet, I think we think like diet as in like fad diets, as far as like keto, which I'm not bashing on keto or anything. If that works for you, that's great. But I think when I think diet and as far as like a lifestyle and a fitness lifestyle and a fitness journey, I would definitely think something more sustainable. And I don't think keto is something you do for the rest of your life. I mean, I at least wouldn't recommend it. So I would definitely stay away from like fad diets, like cutting out carbs completely. Again, these are things that might work for some people, but I just don't recommend it. I've often had people ask me about that, and as a vegetarian, I don't even think that'd be possible for me to like eat that way. And I'm almost pretty much plant-based because I don't really do dairy like that either. But I am a carb girl. I love carbs. I'm not afraid of carbs. I think foods are there to fuel you, and they will fuel you if they are eaten properly and in moderation. So again, I would not be afraid of carbs. I think it's just how you consume it and how much you consume. I don't stay away from like breads, but I do sourdough breads and whole wheat bread. And I just don't think I would completely cut it off, because when you're more restrictive, the chances of you binging or completely giving up and eating everything else are just so much higher. So I would allow everything, again, in moderation. I would just try to find healthier replacements instead of completely cutting it out. Like, for example, I'm a huge chip girl, I'm a huge sweets girl, I'm like a huge junk girl. You know, I grew up eating junk food, and learning how to eat kind of cleaner was a little difficult, but I don't completely cut it out of my life. One thing, when I was leaning up, I would allow myself a tiny bag of like big chips. I have dark chocolate chips, so when I occasionally am craving something sweet, I'll have that. They do make very low cal like ice cream bars. You could have one at the end of the day or whenever you feel like you're craving that, so that you're not completely restricting yourself and you're not binging on that at the end of the day, because that will probably happen. Another thing I want to mention is protein. I am not protein obsessed, you know, like I do think it's important for muscle building, but I am not super obsessed with getting in so much protein. I do prioritize protein every single meal, especially breakfast. I think it's more important to eat whole foods than consuming everything that has a protein label on it. And again, if it works for you, great, but I was finding that a lot of the protein stuff would bloat me. And if you really think about it, a lot of these things have like a lot of sugar, so they're not great for you. I would recommend getting in your nutrients and your protein and everything from whole foods, instead of like protein bars and protein shakes and just all of that. Again, occasionally in moderation, I don't think it's horrible, but don't be fooled by the protein label in front of everything. So my tip with all of this is simplicity is sometimes the easiest way, and it can help you navigate through your transition with eating clean and eating more whole foods and eating better, eating more so to fuel yourself. I did find that working out eventually, I naturally gravitated toward healthier foods, because I did realize that like the junk foods were making me feel sluggish and I hated my workouts, and when I ate clean, I felt 20 times better. So I naturally started gravitating toward healthier foods and cleaner meals. So I think it is something that, like, it is a transition. As long as you stick to that routine, it will start to kind of come naturally. And when I mean simplicity, I mean like, okay, like white rice for me, like a typical lunch is like white rice, tofu, veggies, chipotle bowls. You start to find foods that you actually enjoy and they fit in your health goals, and it kind of becomes second nature. So again, the transition is kind of the hardest part, but once you have it down, it just comes naturally. Okay, another thing I want to talk about is supplements. Again, I spoke on protein powders, protein bars. Protein powders can be convenient when you're trying to reach a certain amount of protein. When I first was leaning out, I was having like a protein shake at night as a meal replacement, but that was more far into my weight training and like my healthy diet, my healthy eating. So it became a little easier, but again, it was like one thing out of my entire day. Supplements are not necessary to see results, but they can help you reach your goals. So honestly, I don't think they're necessary. I think for me personally, I think the most important things are consistency as far as the gym and your diet, and your water intake. Other than that, supplements, again, I mean, the word self-explanatory, it's just kind of like an addition to your fitness journey, but it is not necessary. For a while, I was taking a couple of AHP Lab supplements, and I did enjoy the ones that I was taking. I actually am going to stock up on them again, but in the beginning of my fitness journey, I wasn't really taking anything. Another thing that can be helpful, but again, not necessary, especially if you are kind of sensitive to stimulants. It kind of took me a while to build up to it, but pre-workout can help you a lot. Again, when you're lacking motivation or you're kind of low on energy, taking a bit of pre-workout can help. Depending on the pre-workout, I've used Ghost, which I've loved Ghost as of recently, because I am working out a little bit later. I do feel that I am sensitive to the amount of caffeine, and it kind of affects my sleeping, which is why I've kind of leaned off of it a little bit. But Ghost has been my go-to since the very start. Again, if you're sensitive, I would kind of ease into it. I started by taking like the half the amount and kind of worked my way up. Since I'm currently taking a break from that, I have been using the Alani drinks. Those are only 200 milligrams of caffeine, and I found that it doesn't make me jittery. So if you're not like crazy weight training right now, I think something that's a little caffeinated but not too intense would definitely kind of like help you as far as pushing you energy wise to get you through your workout. Another thing is that some of the pre-workout has fat burner, which can also help you like feel more of a sweat, feel like the workout's a little more intense, and again, assist in fat burning. So overall, I emphasize a healthy transition because I think that is the most sustainable. I never push fad diets. I am vegetarian, and I've had multiple people ask me about a vegetarian diet for weight loss. I do not push a vegetarian diet for weight loss. This was kind of more of my preference. Eating more plant-based can help in the sense where you're not consuming dairy, so you're not going to be as bloated. But again, when you're transitioning into a healthy lifestyle, I think the transition itself is already kind of very new and can be a lot. So I wouldn't recommend adding a vegetarian diet into it because I think it's too much at once. I think a healthy transition is gradually working toward something realistic. And again, having realistic goals is more important. So set baby goals, set realistic goals, and set healthy goals. When it comes to the gym, my advice is always set gym goals and not like weight loss goals. So my recommendation is never to weigh yourself through like those 3 months. Only because if you are very new to weight training, yes, you'll probably lose weight, you'll probably lose fat, but muscle can also keep you at a certain weight. I don't recommend weighing yourself, and I'm not big on numbers or the scale, is because when I first started my weight training journey, I felt great, and then I would weigh myself and I would feel so discouraged until I started taking pictures, and I'm like, I'm the same weight and I look completely different. So since then, I have not weighed myself. I only weigh myself when necessary, as far as like going to the doctor or like little things like that. But I don't care to weigh myself, and I don't base my results off of the scale. I base it on how I feel and how I look. As far as diet, again, the one advice that I give is not doing fad diets or doing things that are sustainable, because you're probably not going to stick to it if it's something crazy and it's an extreme change. You can't go from 0 to 100. It takes baby steps to get there. So I don't recommend fad diets. And another thing is, I don't necessarily compare people to where I'm at, because I think that's one thing that's very hard, is comparing yourself, especially with social media. You think this is what you're supposed to look like, and you don't realize that a lot of these influencers cut out like 90% of their life, and they're only like posting 10% of it. And also, it's taken years for them to get to where they're at. So what took them years isn't going to happen overnight. So I think that's so important for you to remember. Influencers are there not for you to compare yourself to, but kind of assist you and give you little ideas. You know, these workout routines, I would take very lightly. If you see them pushing heavy weight, don't expect to push the same amount of weight. I would just use their workout routine to help me. A lot of that is there to help you navigate, but in all honesty, a lot of it is trial and error, because what works for me might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for me. Everyone's different. Everybody has different gym goals, and everybody has different genetics. Everybody has a different lifestyle. So all of that plays a role. My thing is, would you rather be where you're at now, or take the time to be a better version of yourself? So don't compare your day 1 or your week 1 to someone's year 3. And lastly, I guess, is just choosing your heart. You know, I think I've read that quite often, and it is very true. You know, one thing that I struggled with was having an unhealthy relationship with my body and with food. It's taken quite some time, but it does take work. And would you rather be uncomfortable putting in that work, or uncomfortable and remain where you're at? I would just use that for motivation and to kind of keep you going on the days that you are struggling with sticking to that routine. So my current workout split consists of like 3 leg days in a week. I like to isolate my glutes and my quads. So I have a glute day, and then in between that day, I'll work on something else or have a rest day, and then I'll have a quad day. So every other day I have a leg day, but it's very isolated and focused on like a certain muscle group. That's kind of the workout split that I kind of started with, and I found that it works best for me as far as wanting to grow lower body. I've noticed more of a difference when following this. So if you are interested in growing lower body, that is something that you can try out. I would say that growing your lower body creates more of an illusion of a smaller waist, and I know that a lot of us want a smaller waist and bigger glutes, bigger butt. I know that's been my goal. Again, muscle takes some time to grow. It honestly depends on your genetics and like where you're at, where you start, just all of that. So I would kind of just keep that in mind. My biggest advice is just staying patient, staying consistent, and not feeling discouraged if you're not seeing the results that you want. You're not going to see it right off the bat. And again, I think 3 months is perfect amount of time. And a reminder that you see yourself every day, so you're not going to see the change. Don't focus on the number on the scale. I would do more so, I would take pictures and kind of compare occasionally when you're feeling discouraged, but don't beat yourself up and don't compare yourself, and just keep going, keep consistent, and see how far you can go. I mean, even if you feel like you're not seeing the results that you want, wait till the end of the 3 months and see where you're at. And I promise you, if you are consistent and you stick to that, to your new gym routine and to that diet, you will see results. Like, results are inevitable. So yeah, thank you for watching.